Oh boy. This is a tough one today, folks. I don't know. It's gonna be very tough to try to analyze this one. I didn't think you'd show.
It was that bad. You're right. It was that bad. What's up, everybody? Mario making your camera adjustments. There you are.
You know what? Nothing works. It's like the Bills.
Let's see.
This could be short. I'm thinking it could be short.
Yeah, you think so?
No.
I don't think so.
But
So if any of you are still sober after, I mean, by halftime, it was a pretty rough go, right? It was a pretty rough go by halftime. After the first quarter, I tweeted out on #sports on Twitter. I said, "Congrats to those who have bet the under for this game," because I thought the game was going to end like 6-9, and boy, that didn't last long.
no,
That did not last
no,
long
it did
at
not.
all.
This is one of those situations where, I mean, you try to look, because we always do. We try to look for some positives that go on. What could you take away from the game that you can build on for next week?
Is that a rhetorical question?
No, I was just yeah, exactly, yeah.
I think we're at the phase where
100%
we stop looking at what we can do to build. So I do want to point out a couple things. One, it was about the third quarter, and I started straight trolling through other teams' practice squad rosters, right? Because my mind is thinking, okay, well, quarterback thing, we are where we are, and that's just going to be where it is. I mean, you can look at trades, you can look at ways to acquire another quarterback, but the reality is anybody that you acquire is going to be Derek Anderson again, right? You're going to get a guy who doesn't understand the system. We saw this with Brian Brown when he came in. I mean, we basically saw the exact same game with Brian Brown, 5 years ago, as what we saw with Derek Anderson today.
Why are you going to do that?
I'm just bringing it up. I mean,
I know.
it was a vanilla offense. You couldn't expect much, even though it's a vet. Even though Derek Anderson and Brian Dable were together in 2009 on the Cleveland Browns, that was 9 years ago.
Truth bomb.
Like, that was 9 years ago.
Yes.
So while there was some history there, it's just simply not enough. And this Indy defense knew that they were going to be able to feed on the pass when the Bills decided to pass. And losing Shady early on was a massive blow to this offense. Don't get me wrong, the offense moved fine with Chris Ivory. Very happy with the way that he played. Truthfully speaking, Marcus Murphy flashed. Had some problems, right? But did flash. So, there's some pluses in the running back category. To me, that's what I took away. I took away with we can survive with Chris Ivory and Marcus Murphy. That's what I took away from at the beginning of everything that was the Bills game.
You saw firsthand what happens when the defense doesn't show up.
Yeah.
You saw Milano and Edmonds kind of take a step back. I saw Edmonds get sticky quite a bit today. I saw Milano out of position quite a bit.
Yeah, you're going to see that.
You saw a lot of things that, if you look back, I don't know how involved you guys are in watching film, but if you look back at the Baltimore game, you see a lot of similarities for what happened. And then, Flacco can't hold a candle to luck.
Oh, gosh, no.
Especially with the talent. There was a point in the third quarter where I saw Tre'Davious White come off the edge blitzing.
Yeah.
Tre'Davious White. The only guy that can cover Hilton.
Yeah.
It was a
Terrible
third and
idea.
9. It was a third and 9. Guess who caught the first down pass? T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, of course he did. Well, Luck's not a rookie, man. You see Tre'Davious White drop off your number one. I mean, come on.
He wasn't even on the same side
of
him, so he already knew he was going there. As far as Derek Anderson goes, you could say, wow, he threw for more than 100 yards. No Bills quarterback has done that in a while.
Yeah.
But if you want to think about it in this respect, he completed 20 passes. 8 of them were to wide receivers. He also completed 8 of them to running backs. I did not know that Trent Edwards was back on the Bills.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, what do you expect, right? You're going to look at outlet passes the whole time because he's not going to wait for the routes to develop. I think there's an interesting comparison here because Outside Looking In mentions it in the live chat. So again, thank you guys for coming in and watching this video and doing the live chat. If you're watching this on replay, thank you again. And again, scroll through the live chat. You'll be able to keep up with everything that's going on. Arizona just fired Mike McCoy for reasons like this,
as they should have,
as they should have, totally, absolutely, and they should have let him go. They certainly did. So I think there's something to be said for similar situations. You look at Arizona, you look at us, defensive head coach,
both from Carolina,
yeah. So there's a lot of similarities here. So do you think this is the last game that you see Brian Daboll? Like, is that a topic of conversation?
I don't know. I don't know how long they give him, how long of a leash they give him. It seems like when Derek Anderson started, okay, you get a reprieve from the governor because you have a new guy starting. McCoy goes down. All right, you didn't have your most explosive offensive players. You get another reprieve from the governor. What I was, we saw. Here's the craziest part about the whole thing. If you guys having to transition to things across the league and whatnot. Like you just mentioned, Mike McCoy for the Arizona Cardinals was fired. Prior to that game, the Broncos had given up almost like 300 yards rushing or something like that in the 2 previous games. And then they play Arizona, and you passed 10 out of your first 14 plays.
Yeah, David Johnson saw the ball like, 17 times? Like it was some ridiculous total.
It didn't make any sense. And Daboll does not have the resume that McCoy did in the NFL.
We'll get to Daboll's resume because it's a terrifying resume. It is terrifyingly bad.
It came down to, and we've mentioned it many times. If you've watched the episodes that we have during the week or you watch the post game, I always talked about Daboll being in the box. Daboll being in the box. Now Daboll was on the sidelines today. If you noticed that, and if you happen to notice when they cut to him, he had like this sheet of paper with him. A couple sheets.
Just stapled together, loosely stapled together.
How do I read this again?
I know, right?
So it just.
Listen, you know what?
People that want to make a joke of the Bills, this doesn't help. This does not help.
No, it doesn't. And you know the guy that dresses up like Andy Reid that comes to all the Bills games and the Bills play KC at home. There's the fan that dresses up as Andy Reid. And he's got a play call sheet.
Oh.
That looked more official. That's an Anchor Bar menu, by the way. In case you guys have never noticed, the guy that dresses up like Andy Reid, he has an Anchor Bar menu with him. And that looked more official than Brian Daboll's call sheet. And I'm sure things had to be simple. I'm sure things had to change on the fly. But the truth of the matter is, this is the bed that has been made, and this is the bed that we have to lie in now. And the truth is, where do you go from here? Does Daboll being on the staff make or break anything? Is there anything that's going to help? Daboll is focusing right now on getting Derek Anderson up to speed. So how does that help Allen's development? Derek Anderson was brought in to help Allen's development. That was the whole idea behind it. And now Daboll is focusing on getting Derek Anderson to play, right? So this doesn't help Allen. I really, and I truthfully mean this, I would not be surprised if you do not see Brian Daboll fired and Ken Dorsey hired. I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks. As soon as the Bills signed Derek Anderson, it was, where's Ken Dorsey? He was the quarterback coach at Carolina for the last 5 seasons. He interviewed for the OC job before Daboll got hired. He was one of the guys that interviewed. So where is he, right? And at some point, you really have to think that Daboll is going to make his way out and Derek Anderson is going to make his way in. And we've got lots of stats on Brian Daboll, and we are going to get to those in just a few moments. So, taking positives away from this game, I mean, we talked about the Bills' rushing defense, and unfortunately during some garbage time, the stats of the rushing defense get a little skewed, but this had been a very stout run defense, and they hadn't given up a touchdown in, how many quarters was it, or what was the stat?
By the end of the half, it was 22 quarters. In the previous 22 quarters, they only allowed 1 rushing touchdown.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
You think about that, but then there's going to be the people out there that say, hey, it's passing league anyway.
Yeah.
It's like an arena league team giving up a rushing touchdown doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you want to think about it in the respect of outside looking in comes in, he says in 7 NFL weeks has Daboll put together 1,000 yards passing. Just saying. Well, they had 917 coming into today. So just over. That's bothersome. That is
gosh, yeah.
completely bothersome. And you know, we had a couple firsts today as far as this defense goes. It's the first time they allowed 3 touchdowns in one quarter the whole year. It's the first time they allowed a 100-yard rusher, which, as Paul said, it kind of skewed a little bit because the game was so out of hand. But the previous high, I believe, was 77 coming into today. So it's hard to look at positives for this team going forward because you didn't see any life. You didn't see any jump but the Bills, if you want to say that they had some life, 4 times they had the ball inside the 30.
Yeah.
Either a turnover, well, one was a field goal.
Yeah.
So you had 4 trips inside the 30 and got 3 points.
Yeah. You can't turn the ball over 5 times. Like, that's just the truth of any NFL. You cannot turn the ball over 5 times. That's it.
If we went to the let me just see real quick. The time of possession while you're looking.
Yeah, I do want to point out the Bills today were 2 of 9 in third down. 2 of 9. Just for reference point, the Saints on their first drive today were 3 of 4 on fourth downs. They took 10 minutes off the clock. They ran 20 plays in their first drive. They scored no points, but they turned the first quarter into basically their entire possession. That is what an offensive-minded head coach who understands the system and a veteran quarterback, a veteran elite-level quarterback can do. They can control the pace of play, and they went for it 4 times on fourth down to control the clock. And
so they were 3 of 4 on fourth down. Does that mean that they were 0 of 4 on third down?
Well, yeah, clearly, right? Clearly. But the fact is that the Bills are only 2 of 9 on third downs again. And we've talked about the third down percentage being a massive problem for this team, and it just doesn't get better. And they were in some pretty unmakeable third downs. They were in some really bad third down spots today. Really, really bad. Really bad.
As far as when we've got Tim Ellington coming in, my wife kept asking me to turn off the game due to being depressing. Can't argue with her there. I got to step back and look at the defensive talent, and I hope the offense gets it together somehow. We all hope that they get it together somehow. And outside looking in comes back in, I think, Juan Castillo.
Yep.
Should we move to the OC so we can keep the scheme the same, but new play calling needs to happen? 100% agree on the new play calling. You have to realize, though, when you switch quarterbacks, it almost is like in a snapshot, you're hitting the reset button. What can this guy do? How are his talents different? I mean, we thought it was going to be a benefit to the Buffalo Bills, Dable, because last year at Alabama, well known, he had two offensive sets set up.
Yeah.
He had one for Jalen Hurts and he had one for Tua. I can't pronounce the name.
Yeah, Tua,
Tagovailoa, whatever.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm awful with names. So he had two different ones. However, you go from Alabama, who typically you have the best players in the country.
Yeah.
You could just win on talent alone.
Well, I mean, let's clarify that. You don't have the best players, you have the best athletes in the country, right? So Alabama goes and gets the best athletes, and they teach them how to do what they need them to do on the field.
Yes.
And with college rosters, they're unlimited. So you could have 150 kids on the roster. It doesn't matter. Like you'll see a lot of times, there'll be a celebration. You'll see, wait. Is there 2 number 57s? Yeah, there probably is. Yeah. Because they run out of jerseys.
Yeah.
They run out of jersey numbers. So that is absolutely true. And if we want to get to Brian Dable, I do want to hit on this real quickly. Brian Dable, as an offensive coordinator, has an 18-46 record. Okay? Just let that... All right, everybody. So I want you to enjoy the rest of your weekend. Obviously Mario's coming back, but
18-46.
18-46. So he was with the Cleveland Browns in 2009. He was with the Cleveland Browns in 2010. Now, again, the Derek Anderson connection makes a lot of sense because Anderson played for Dable in 2009. He also played in Carolina for years, and that's where kind of the Derek Anderson connection comes in. But if you take a look at the quarterbacks that Brian Dable has had, Brady Quinn twice. Only once with the Browns. So he had Brady Quinn and Derek Anderson in 2009. He had Colt McCoy, Jake Delhomme, who's been out of football since 2011, and everybody's favorite Madden free agent quarterback, Madden 2009, Seneca Wallace. Seneca Wallace was the guy you picked up if you didn't really know how to play Madden, but he ran really fast, so you just kind of like run around. In 2011, he was in Miami, had a 6-10 record, had Matt Moore, Chad Henne, and J.P. Wassman. And in 2012, had Matt Castle, and again, the resurgence of Brady Quinn. But I think the important part to note about that is that never, ever has Brian Dable had a season where he hasn't changed quarterbacks. It's happened every season, right? This is what happens. This is where we are, and this is who he is. His record is 18-46. His quarterbacks have 51 touchdowns in 4 seasons. I'll repeat that. In 4 seasons, his quarterbacks have thrown for 51 touchdowns. How many touchdowns is that per year?
Just over 10.
It's like what, 12? 13.
Okay.
At 12 points, so 13. Which is terrible. You can't compete in today's NFL with a quarterback with a multitude of quarterbacks that throw a total of 13 touchdown passes.
Don't throw at least one a game.
Yeah, you can't.
You got to throw 32. That's the starting point now in the NFL. You got to throw 32.
Yeah, this isn't 1974. Like you can't survive in the NFL with the offense that we're running, and that's just plain and simple. But the question truly becomes, what can you do about it? And I don't know if there's a whole lot out there. Again, if you go and trade for a quarterback, they're going to be in the same position that you were, because they brought in Derek Anderson, who had familiarity with Dable, right? Mm-hmm. That was the whole idea.
10 years ago.
Exactly. It was almost 10 years ago. You look at the other quarterbacks that Brian Dable has had, the only one still in the league is Matt Moore. Oh, and Matt Castle, I suppose.
Well,
but that's it.
Like,
you're not bringing in either of those guys. You're not doing that.
Let me just go back to
this. Where does that make sense? But that's where we are. This is the hole that we have dug ourselves in the quarterback position, and I don't know if there's a solution out there right now to fix that. Right? And the Colts wiped the floor with us. They made Frank Reich look like a great hire. And that Colts team has been bad this year. Really bad. Like, they have earned that 1-5 record. It is not.
Well, they were in some tight games that they just kind of lost. You know what I mean? Because
they score a lot of points. I'm not going to say they don't score a lot of points, but they throw the ball 60 times a game.
They only threw 23 today.
Only had
I guess credit the Bills for not allowing him to throw for over 300. Which they haven't allowed a 300-yard passer yet. Also credit them if luck doesn't break the attempts record this year. You can point to this game.
Right.
Kudos. Good job, Bills.
A couple comments in the chat. John Marilla pops in and says the Bills picked the first pick in the 2019 draft because of bad coaching. That is very possible. Absolutely. Matt Mallory, Bills should tank. I don't know if there's. I mean, what do you think this is at this point, right? What does this look like? What does this look like? I mean, the only thing that we're missing is the cannon on the front of the freaking tank. Like, that's it. Like, we've been in Buffalo, we know what tanks look like, and this is really shaping up to what it looks like. That McDermott commented that the confidence in the locker room is obviously not where it should be. Well, you've won 2 games this season.
Yeah.
So what exactly do you expect?
Defense.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I felt so helpless about the quarterback position. Like, I remember we've had some bad runs, right? But I feel like 2009 Cleveland Browns. Like, I'm at 2009 Cleveland Browns level.
Of the Browns,
or 2010 Cleveland Brown level. Like, I feel so helpless about this position.
The names that you gave of who Brian Dable has coached.
Yeah.
Remind me of that Browns jersey that the one lady has. That
with all the names on the back? Yeah.
Oh my God, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're that upset, let me try to help you out a little bit. If you're saying, if you had some high hopes for Derek Anderson, or you had some high hopes for this quarterback position kind of where a quote-unquote veteran came in, okay? Maybe this will make you feel better, maybe it won't. In his career, Derek Anderson, 12 years. He's 20-27.
Okay.
So he never had a winning record to begin with. Mm-hmm. He's only started 47 games in 12 years. So the guy has only started 4 games a year. Mm-hmm. He's got a career 54% completion percentage. So you put all those together. He's got 60 touchdowns, 60 picks. Okay, so it's not like it's completely abysmal in that respect. But if you want to take all those things into account, he's only started a maximum of 4 games a year. He had a Pro Bowl in 07. I don't know how that happened. But
I think they went to the Super Bowl that year.
In Cleveland.
Oh, in Cleveland?
Yeah, in Cleveland. No. They went with Delhomme.
They went with Delhomme.
He has a career completion percentage of 54%. What did you expect? He exceeded his expectations today because he threw for like 60-some%. Like I said, though, he had 8 completions to running backs, 8 completions to wide receivers, 4 to the tight ends. He almost got a couple guys killed a couple times. But they can't run read routes. Whatever they see, they can't do it because he's only been there for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, but that's no different because the receivers weren't running read routes with Josh Allen under center anyway. So that's not any change. Dennis Chapman mentions, I was not surprised by the offensive struggles. And that's true. I think if you expected this offense to really come out there and put on
Laser show.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen, right? The D surprised me, but they got almost as many points as our offense. Was anyone expecting more than 6 wins this season? From a defensive standpoint, to look at this looking backwards, Andrew Luck loves tight ends, right? He loves to throw to his tight ends. And what have we been worried about this season? It was the play of the linebackers. Right? When the linebackers can be aggressive in a blitz scheme, then this defense plays great. But when the linebackers have to worry about covering, that's where we start running into problems. You saw Tremaine Edmonds get bit a couple times, just trying to stay on where Luck's head was. What was that play that was thrown up the middle? It was a little. It was like a post route that was run up the middle where Edmonds.
Touchdown?
Was it? Yeah, it might have been.
They ran a similar play in Baltimore where they ran Luck went to his left, fake to the running back, play action. Edmonds flew up, and in a Tampa 2, he's got to be right in the middle. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure that defense. He had him and Milano in there. Milano kind of ran with him for a little while, and then Poyer couldn't get over, but. I think Poyer was expecting Edmonds to be there and either deflect that pass or get in the way of that pass somehow. But he wasn't back there in the zone that he was supposed to be in because he came up on the run. And that's been a problem all year. 7 games into the year now, he's still doing the same mistakes he was doing in preseason. So,
well, and again, you didn't see this team attack Andrew Luck. They didn't attack him. We've seen this defense be very aggressive. And last game was the first time. Well, last game was the first time we saw them generate pressure with 4. And the Colts' offensive line is not exceptional, but the Bills could not generate pressure with 4.
How dare you? Quentin Nelson is an animal.
Quentin Nelson's amazing. He's awesome. Love Quentin Nelson.
I saw a couple of plays where Starr got mauled by him, and we were talking about it last week. We're like,
yeah,
you have to put 2 guys on Starr.
That's a heavyweight match inside. That's
and then they put Phillips inside on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he still was handling Phillips.
Yeah.
So that guy's he's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday, Quentin Nelson. But if you think about it in that respect, first quarter they blitzed a little bit more than they did all year. It was nothing.
No.
Then they stopped blitzing.
Yep, and then what happened?
I told you last week, if they play zone against Luck, it's almost like cheating for him. You know what I mean? He'll find the soft zones, he'll find everything, and then, I mean, Trey White, for the most part, he was doing okay, but they didn't match him. They didn't have him follow T.Y. the whole
No,
time.
they did not.
Because they were having struggles with other guys getting the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he only had 4 catches for 25 yards. True, 2 of them were touchdowns. On 2 times where White wasn't covering him.
Right.
So, and the one touchdown he had to him shouldn't even have been a touchdown because if you look at the play again, I think it was one of the first scores. Ty Hilton was running a pick play on the opposite side.
Yep. And ran around.
Yeah. He got outside of
veteran receiver move. He saw he was running to the back of the end zone, saw that there were 2 safeties in the back of the end zone, cut to the front, dove down, caught the pass.
Yeah.
Really a hell of a throw by Luck because that's a hard throw to make. Going the opposite way. Yeah, we got outside of Murphy. And
used to that phrase. I'm sorry, I'm salty.
That's all right. Tim Ellington mentions Derek Anderson as a mentor to Josh Allen. Again, that'd be great, but I don't think we're there, right? We're just not there at this point. There's no mentoring for Josh Allen. And Mario made a comment to me off the air. We saw Mike McCoy in Arizona was up in the booth, right? Was he up in the booth?
Bill Musgrave.
Oh, Bill Musgrave.
For Denver.
Thank you. Bill Musgrave had been up in the booth at the beginning of the season for Denver. And then the Arizona game on Thursday, right? That was on Thursday?
Yeah, what happened
the Arizona
was
game on Thursday.
The Broncos went 2-0.
Yeah.
They lost 4 straight.
Yeah.
He got out of the booth, was on the sidelines. Saw Dave on the sideline. Were you going to that?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. So the question becomes, where is Dable? Why is Dable on the sideline to help Anderson, but he wasn't there to help Allen? Like that?
Yeah,
What's going on?
It doesn't seem like
we're talking completely different roles. Let's just
highlight
logic,
though. It's all about logic here.
I think it's important to highlight the difference between what his responsibility is in the booth versus sidelines. That way, it's clear and concise what we're trying to say. So, an OC's job from the booth is to see the play breakdown, call the plays,
see the defense from a wider, get a better view of the defense, so you could tell them what's going on. Right. Or if you have an inexperienced play caller, it helps them to call it down. And if you have the way that it works though is if you have an inexperienced play caller in the booth, but you have an experienced quarterback coach on the field, Quarterback coach could see what he needs to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of mesh in there and everything going on, but he knows the answers to the test. He's been around for a while. David Culley is that guy. He spent many years with Reed, as we talked about. So Dable's upstairs watching it, trying to see what progresses and everything that goes on like that. The fact that he comes down and is on the bench, sitting next to Anderson, helping him through the plays, helping him through everything, it seems like it's switched. Like it doesn't. For a 13-year vet, you don't need to be on the sideline, it seems.
Right.
But he was. And then for a first-year rookie, it didn't make sense to me.
No.
It makes zero sense to me why he was up in the booth for Allen. Now he's on the field for Anderson to try to help him understand it. Well, your starting quarterback just got hurt, doesn't understand it yet.
Yeah.
So why aren't you on the sidelines?
Right. Yeah.
I think it's there. I think he's in the booth because I think there's like 4 or 5 instances a game where McDermott would like to choke him. So that's why he leaves him up in the booth.
So wait, you're calling the booth his safe space?
That is his panic room.
Right. It's Bills fan 7883 chimes in and mentions, I'm sorry, but the most basic of offenses are able to produce it against the Colts D. The fact you're pretty much shut out is flat out pathetic, regardless of the QB. Those scores happen pretty quick, so you kind of gotta. It gets pretty easy to tell that you're going to have to throw, right? It's pretty obvious. But if you're the Colts, you're not worried about receiver number 3. You're not worried about receiver. What are you worried about their third receiver on the Bills for? You're not even worried about the one receiver for the Bills because KB ran routes today like he just didn't care. And there's trade rumors out there right now that Dallas is looking at KB. I would. What do you want? A bag of used hockey pucks? We'll send him over to the Harbor Center. Like, give me whatever you can for him at this point. Like, I'm so over Kelvin Benjamin. I'm over his lazy routes. He ran a curl route today that I thought he forgot what the route was and turned around to look at the play, and the ball was in his lap. He's like, oh wait,
look what I found.
Yeah, it's like I'm very tired of Kelvin Benjamin. So my theory, if I had to fix the team right now, I am just signing any wide receiver over 6'3" that ran a sub 4.6 that's on practice squads and bring them in and just run them through. You get 3 weeks with them. Just see what you can find because there is zero wide receiver depth. You got to look to find talent because your quarterback position you're not fixing. You have Peterman, you have Anderson. That's the bed that you're in. There's no fixing that. But you can fix the skill positions around it because you're not asking the receivers to run read routes. You're not asking the receivers to make adjustments on the fly. You're asking the receivers to run the routes on the piece of paper that Brian Dable has sloppily stapled in front of his face. So you're not asking these receivers to do more than what they're capable of doing. You can sign practice squad receivers off anybody else. Go look at Pittsburgh's practice squad. Pittsburgh's got 2 guys on the practice squad that are both over 6'3". Go sign one. Pittsburgh's been manufacturing tall wide receivers out of that system for the last 7 years.
Yes.
Go get them, right? Just sign one of them. What's the problem? What are you going to lose? You're not losing anything. If anything, it allows you to get a look at a guy and be able to sign him for next season as a restricted free agent, and you just move forward. That's how you improve your team. Is you look to improve your team, and the Bills are just simply not doing that. And you want to fix this offense, you got to start from the outside in because the truth is not many quarterbacks could do much with what is being called and the talent level on the outside. Like that's where we are, man. That's just where we are. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
Well,
I'm sorry for the rant. That's where my head is at.
No, it definitely hampers the play calling you have. And we talked about it last week on an episode. Is it the chicken or the egg? Is it these guys can't get open or Dable's not calling plays to get them open? Mm-hmm. I think it may be a little bit of both, but I tend to lean more toward the offensive coordinator because it's your responsibility. These guys, Benjamin's here for the 2nd year. Jones is still getting acclimated to the NFL. Clay's probably going to be gone. You think next year? Mm-hmm. It's your responsibility to design schemes to get these guys open and get them. And if they're open and they're not getting the ball, then you could say, okay, listen, you need to coach the quarterback. Mm-hmm. But it's not like they're open. And for the last 2 weeks, the line we haven't talked about.
No, line's been fine.
And it is. It has been holding up all right. I want to say
it's fine.
I won't go fine, and I'll say all right because it still has been really tough sledding to try to break anything open with the run. I mean, a lot of those yards that Ivory's getting, if he had 80 yards rushing today, I think he had like 65 after first contact.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Who do you put the blame on? I think because of the things that have transpired, Dable keeps getting passes And he keeps getting, McCoy went down. What'd you want me to do? We had this game plan with McCoy in there.
Right.
He's not in now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm working with my third quarterback this year. What do you expect me to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the same consistency is starting to happen where he's not designing plays to get these guys open and get them in space. He started putting Zay Jones in the slot a little bit.
Yeah. Hey,
I
love that.
I thought when he brought that offense from Alabama over, because of the similarities in size and speed and strength and everything, he was going to use Zay as a Calvin Ridley.
Right. Yep.
And he hasn't.
Nope.
He really hasn't done that.
Yep.
And Calvin, it doesn't help when your players seem like they don't feel like playing. McCoy goes out, they make a note on the broadcast that, oh, look at it, it's his ankle, he's done, you know what I mean? But first of all, he walks off. Yeah. So it's not his ankle. And they said it was a head injury. Well, those are really hard to diagnose. So I think maybe McCoy just really didn't want to play today. And he's getting traded or something like that. You know how I'm a conspiracy theorist. That's what I always do.
Conspiracy
but
theorist. That is absolutely true.
I don't see any kind of improvement coming on. But if you fire the offensive coordinator right now, it doesn't improve your team.
No.
Because who are you going to bring
true.
in rather than, unless you have a 10-year vet that has proven success in the NFL, you're not going to do anything this year anyway.
So your
reign is well deserved.
So you think the bye week, if we're going to see a change in OC, you think the bye week is where that's going to happen? Because truthfully speaking, that's most
usually
logical
when they
space.
do it.
Yeah,
that's usually when they do it.
Most logical time.
It's going to be after the trade deadline. Usually bye weeks that happen before. You can do that, and then that's when you make your calls and try to get guys into camp and all that stuff. We talked about Amari Cooper October 2nd, I think it was. Yeah. We talked about Amari Cooper, and now there's rumors he's going to go either to Washington or Dallas, or one of those guys. If Dallas wants KB, and you're the numbers guy, so please talk to me. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but Bills have already paid him. He has a guaranteed salary this year for the 5th-year option. Yeah. Does that transfer over to Dallas?
Yeah, the remaining weeks do. Okay. Yeah. So if the Bills were to trade KB, the only thing that he's free to trade because his entire salary is guaranteed at this point. Yep. There was no signing bonus. There's no workout bonus that they have to account for against the cap. So KB is free to trade. He's not going to cost you anything basically. I do want to point out, and thank you to Josh Hines for, I think it's the first time you've ever commented, so thank you very much for commenting. But those are all terrible quarterbacks that Dable has been stuck with. 1,000,000% right. You are absolutely correct. Brady Quinn, Derek Anderson, Colt McCoy, Jake Delhomme, Seneca Wallace, Matt Moore, Chad Henne, J.P. Lossman, Matt Castle. Unfortunately, several of those were Bills quarterbacks, former Bills quarterbacks. But the truth is, you're right, those quarterbacks are terrible. But their production on the field, right? You can manufacture opportunities even for bad quarterbacks by keeping it by scheme, right? You can manufacture opportunities. And to have an 18-46 record as an OC, I understand the quarterbacks are terrible, but that's a yin and yang relationship. If you have a weak OC, your quarterback's just not going to play well, right? I mean, let me put it to you this way, right? You look at Peyton Manning, and who was the OC that we had hired from Denver? It was Rick Dennison. So we bring in Rick Dennison because he was Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator. Let's be realistic. He got Peyton the water on the sideline when Peyton was done calling the offense on the field, right?
You know what? I used to think the easiest job in sports was to be a bullpen catcher.
Yeah.
You're leaving out one name though.
What?
Kubiak was there too.
Oh yeah. Kubiak was doing everything. Kubiak and Peyton.
You had two filters for Dennison. Hey, let's run this. I thought it was interesting. The fourth play of the game, Anderson was audibling out.
Yeah. Why not?
When you see this, you watch that Peyton Manning special. Alert! All right, we're changing the play. Yeah. But that's what happened. That's
something you haven't seen with Allen all season. Nate Peterman made a check, and it got him his job taken away. I mean, that's what happened. Nate Peterman threw that interception last week, and that took his job away. He made a change on the field. It was the wrong change, and it cost him his opportunity. It wasn't necessarily the result, right? It wasn't the fact that the ball got picked. It's the fact that he made the wrong call. So when McDermott famously said he went to go back to the tape, when McDermott went back to the tape and saw that Peterman checked into a problem, that was it for him. Right? Yeah. That was it. That's all that it took.
I know. You know, it was that terrible quarterbacks. Dable can't call offensive plays the way McDermott can call defensive plays. Well, that's true. McDermott has enjoyed success.
Fair. Yeah, that's
he
fair.
Has enjoyed
I think that's very fair.
Dable has not enjoyed, as we saw, I heard the numbers Paul said earlier, they have not enjoyed, he has not enjoyed any kind of success at all. You could scheme your way to at least 13, 17 points a game.
I think
regardless
that's
of
absolutely
talent.
true. Absolutely true.
I think Dable gets absolutely nothing on the field game by him as an OC, and they make horrible mistakes on top of it. I think that's an excellent Bills fan 78-83. What an excellent point. They don't create anything for themselves. It's a very, I hate to use the word, but junior varsity offense.
Well, it makes me wonder if McCoy is more hurt than we are really aware of, right? Because McCoy simply hasn't been involved. I know he went out today, but I would have liked to have known what his volume and game plan really was, because he simply isn't touching the ball enough, right? I don't know if we can constitute this as a tank. I know John Patrick asked, is it a tank? I don't know if it's a tank. I think what happened here is you have to look at the timelines of everything, and these were circumstantial decisions. And we're going to have an episode this week breaking down the timelines of what happened with the offensive line, what happened with the quarterback position. So just to give you a little preview into that, right? You look at how this was played, and unfortunately, the parallels to the problems the offensive line had really do parallel the struggles of the quarterback position, and a lot of those were decisions by Brandon Beane to move players that we kind of wish he didn't move. Would I prefer A.J. McCarron as a Bills fan to Derek Anderson? Oh my dear Lord, yes. Like, that's not even. Would I prefer
check some episodes in April and May.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Had a man crush on A.J. McCarron. Not going to say that I didn't, right? I've been waiting for A.J. McCarron to be a Bill for
he hates
5 years.
Webb. Let's put it that way.
Oh, stop it. No, that's not it at all. Believe me, that's not it. But the fact remains that would I rather have a quarterback who spent, I don't know, more than 10 days in the system starting a game for me against a 1-5 team? Oh, you damn right I would. Like, I seriously would have taken Joe Webb. I would have, okay, well, at least he's been here.
Yeah.
At least he's been here.
And he's beaten the Colts.
Oh, damn, that's a good point. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Here's what I'm gonna do. You know, because you hear the word tank, and it just tells you how different sports are between hockey and football. Okay, they specifically have a lottery system in hockey because of tanks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know why? Because that's what they do. If you want to talk about a tank, it's very hardly go into work tomorrow and tell your boss, "Yeah, I'll be all right next year. I'm just kind of coast through the rest of this year, but I'll be all right next year. Okay, I'm gonna come back rejuvenated. I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna do everything like this." It's hard for a coach, especially in his second season, to cite his owner.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna throw in the towel on this season. He can't come out and openly say we're tanking this season, even if they are. Even if they're saying, listen, we didn't really address the offensive line. We didn't address the wide receiver position. We came into the season with 2 quarterbacks that had a combined 3 starts.
Terrible.
So those are the signs that came to us that said, okay, they probably could be tanking, but it could be one of those things. He can't openly say that, hey, we're just going to throw the towel on the season, because then fan attendance goes down.
Yep.
Why would you want to go to sit out in a game in December? You know, and you know, if you take that off the table, like, let's talk directly to the fans now.
Okay.
Because we're fans, they're fans. Let's talk directly to the fans like this.
Sure.
What is your if you keep your expectations low on this team, obviously you won't be disappointed. But if you keep your expectations low, like, they have sparks of brilliance where you think, hey, this team could be really good, especially on the defense. Not on the offense, it's on the defense. But then if you think about it in the overall scheme of things, the big picture is, you know, if they get a high draft pick, that would benefit this team greatly. If they acquire some more talent, they got 10 picks in the draft coming up. 10 more guys that will go into their system. They have $85 million in cap space next year to go get whatever offensive weapons they want. But they still have to show a little bit of life, especially in the offense, for an offensive player to want to come here. You name one offensive player that would want to come to Buffalo.
None.
Right
Zero.
this second.
Yeah, because you don't have an offensive system. You don't truthfully know what you have at quarterback. You really don't have a lot of skill position players on the outside. The offensive line has been suspect. There's a lot of red flags here, right? There's a lot of red flags. And just from an overall perspective, right? There were 31 total targets to the Bills receivers. This was, I think, the first game where the tight ends had more than 5. targets.
You had
We're
4 on the
carrying 4 of
roster
them.
for a
We're
while.
carrying 4 on the roster. We only had 4 receivers dressed for this game. So, like, there's clearly some divide as far as the talent level and the positions that are being utilized on this roster and what their ultimate goal is, right? The goal of an offense is to score points. I feel like sometimes that is forgotten, that the goal of an offense is to score points on this team. I really do feel that way. But the truth is that there's guys out there that could instantly improve your team. I'm going to name one that I'm making a prediction right now.
Is it Momo?
It is. No.
It's not. It's Momo.
No. What? Oh, hey, Momo. Oh, can Mo get a shout out? Hey, Momo.
There you go.
There you go. There's your
All right,
shout
but
out.
who's the guy?
So there is there's a player on Baltimore's practice squad. His name's Darren Waller. Okay, 6'6", played wide receiver, converted to tight end in Baltimore. He's on their practice squad. Went down last year. I think it was an ACL or it was a hip injury or something. Those are the
What's the
types
big
of
difference?
It is. I don't remember what
it
it was. It was a year ago. It doesn't matter. But the fact is that those are the types of players that you need to go out and you need to just try and sign. Like these are guys. He was talked about as the 3rd round draft picks. I think he slid down to the 4th. But these are guys that you just need to go get talent at this point. Just go get talent. It doesn't matter if they fit a system. You just need to get talent because you don't have a system. So you need to get talent on this roster, and you need to figure out what to do with it once you have it, because the talent on this roster you have right now isn't good enough. You can look at next season, but Marcus Murphy played great today when given opportunities. He blew the game open, averaged 13 yards a carry. Like, that's phenomenal.
Well, we have to take a step back a second.
They were playing. It wasn't garbage time.
No,
that's
no.
okay.
I'm gonna say a name to you. Don't hit me.
Okay.
CJ Spiller.
Oh, yeah, that was a dirty.
Was it 2012? 20? I don't know. I think it was the one season where Spiller had like over 1,100 yards rushing or something like that. But like 800 of those yards came in the second half.
Yeah,
of the
no,
game.
he had 16. Yeah.
And they were
That's
getting
what it was.
blown out.
That's
so.
what it was. When Spiller had his great season,
Well, he
everybody
did look
remembers.
great. He didn't quit.
Yeah.
The guy was. He took advantage of his opportunities today. Something that we can't say a lot of Bills offensive players have.
No.
And it's just so. Yeah, like, I totally agree with you. Just don't go out to get talent. We said as much as Whaley, and that's a name I rarely bring up because I don't want to hate mail. I don't like hate mail.
Yeah.
As much as Whaley gets blamed for a lot of things that happen in Buffalo, the guy was constantly filtering guys in and out.
Yeah.
I mean, what have we seen? Jordan Phillips. Okay, we've seen Jordan Phillips come in.
I like Jordan Phillips a lot.
Dean Marlowe came in for a game and then left. But he was constantly bringing guys in on the practice squad, trying to improve his. But we know his talents just lend themselves to the defense.
Yeah,
and
but,
linebacker.
but that's the thing. We're seeing defensive players cycled in. We're not seeing offensive players cycled in. So I want to get back to some of the comments.
Yes.
Trade Shady for Bell straight up. You can afford to re-sign him. Bills fans 7883. Bell right now you can't afford to sign Bell because he's on the franchise tag. So even with the stipulated numbers, that costs you money next year. And I think that's what the Bills are going to be a little protective of. Any money you spend this year is going to cost you against rollover cap. So let's say the Bills have like $10 million in space. When people talk about the money they have next year, they're including the money you don't use this year, right? That's how rollover cap works. If you make a trade for somebody like Le'Veon Bell, he's going to soak up all that space for games in a season that doesn't matter anymore. You got just as good a shot getting him now.
Was he at 14?
Yeah.
So we'd have to pay him about 7 because it's almost halfway through the season.
Yeah.
But if they sign him and restructure, could they do that?
No, he can't re-sign on a franchise tag.
Gotcha.
So he'd have to play the rest of the season on the franchise tag. The window to renegotiate that is over. So if you felt like you could really give him a true contract and you want to get him in the door early, sure. But we've seen the Sabres do that. It just doesn't work. So getting Bell, unfortunately, isn't going to save the season. It's just going to cost you money on next year when he's going to probably be a free agent. Anyway, there's Tevin Coleman on the market next year. You really do have to consider looking at Marcus Murphy. Like, you got to consider it.
Murphy and you got Ivory for 2 years.
Yeah.
Murphy and Ivory next year.
Yeah.
Would you be content with Murphy and Ivory next year?
I was fine with them today. I really was.
You put all your eggs in the wide receiver basket and maybe a couple guards.
Yeah.
Let's say you did that, and you went into the season with Ivory and Murphy. No. Ivory's going to be in his 10th season, and he does have some tread on the tires.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. I really need some money spent on this wide receiver group. With that being said, John Patrick says, can the Bills get Brandon Riley back? Well, pretty sure he's unemployed, so I don't think that's too big a deal. If you can't make this wide receiver group, all right. And can you make a trade? Make a trade with Denver for Demaryius Thomas.
That'd be beautiful.
I
He's
like
30.
Demaryius Thomas, but he's 30. Again, I don't think it really fits what they're looking for, right? If they wanted a 30-year-old wide receiver, they'd just go sign Des Bryant. If that's what they wanted, right? They could just go sign Des.
Below Zero likes to mess with us.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
How about we get Woods and Hogan back?
I like this game.
I would love to have.
We said
Woods
it last week.
back.
I think it may have been Wednesday or Thursday's show.
Yeah.
One of the drives that we had last week.
Yeah.
We talked about how valuable Watkins and Woods would be to this team now, rather than what
Totally
they were
different.
when they first came in the league. Because we talked about Woods being a polished route runner, coming from USC.
Yep.
Now he's so much more. He's a really good NFL wide receiver. And then Watkins too. You know, he even openly admitted that he wasn't the player that he is now wasn't the player that he was when he was with the Bills. So to have both of those guys right now would be tremendous assets. Unfortunately, you can't compare what they are now to what they were with the Bills. Because everyone wants to say, "Oh, we let them go." No, they went to places that actually developed their talent.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Buffalo has been very poor about is they lack the ability. They've shown a lack of an ability to develop talent. That's because every 3 years we get a new head coach. Like, so there comes a point where I know a lot of people are sick of the process. I've heard that in this chat today, and I don't think Pagula is sick of the process. And that's who is most important, right? So even though the fans may be sick of the process, I think there's some, I think it is best to have lowered expectations looking towards the rest of the season.
How many kids do you have?
Yeah, I know,
How
right?
many kids do you have?
I have 2.
I have 2. Okay.
Yeah. You have 3.
I have 3.
Yeah.
But let me say, I just recently had 3.
Yeah.
I had 2. Okay. When you had your first child, they got all of your attention, didn't they?
Yep.
Okay. When you had 2, guess what you had to do? You had to split time.
Yeah.
You had to split attention.
Yeah.
He owns the Sabres.
Yeah.
So he's not really focused completely on the Bills. If we had an owner, I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying. I'm just making a comparable.
Yeah.
He's completely focused on 2 different teams.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
so let's compare. Let's say Jerry Jones is the owner of the Bills. Does Brian Dable still have a job right now?
I mean, Garrett's still there, so.
That's fair.
I don't know. Like, I know if we had like an owner that was just focused on the Bills, I think he would be more heavily involved. But then again, I don't know many owners that have football IQ background acumen. So you look at you just mentioned Jerry Jones because he's so involved in it. Sometimes
right.
But he's been in it for 20-some years now, so
right.
he's got to pick up some things. You know what I mean? Even though everyone hates him, but. I just think that if he had his complete focus on the Bills, maybe Dable would be gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think maybe Dable would be gone.
I think, the fans that are out there screaming for Dable's job, if it doesn't happen tomorrow, right, you got to look at the bye week. And they could go inside Juan Castillo or David Culley. They could take over, or you could see them totally change gears and say, okay, we are looking towards next year right now, and that hire would be Ken Dorsey, who already interviewed for the job and was the quarterback coach down in Carolina. That would be the hire in all likelihood. I mean, it's the color on the walls, man. I mean, it's just everything is Carolina Panther blue down at One Bills Drive.
Remember what you heard it. Remember where you heard it first.
Whatever.
Remember where you heard it. Ken Dorsey. These guys. No, him. But these guys.
Might happen,
Just
guys.
Drank a 30-pack of beer and the Bills will be in.
What?
And the Bills will be in the Super Bowl this year. Thomas Camp, first time.
Hey.
First
all right.
time.
Thank
you. Love your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Did they win? Did they win?
Can you imagine if
straight?
Can you imagine if we did this show on a 30-pack of beer? We drive around though. Like we can't do that.
Oh my God! When are we going to film this show in an Uber?
That's a great idea. Or in the back of a pickup truck, just in the back, in the cab, in the back of the pickup truck. Pibbs comments: a coach with discipline like McDermott was necessary, as the Bills were constantly the highest penalized team in the league. Truth to that, though, a quick counterpoint. You look at some of the most most penalized teams in the league in the last 7 years, they're playoff teams, right? So teams don't mind taking penalties. I agree with you that McDermott was the right hire because you needed to establish consistency and accountability, and I think he wants to do that. But there's a lot of questionable decisions that float in the background there, right? So I agree that McDermott was the right hire for a variety of reasons, that being one of them, culture and discipline. But the most penalized teams think that that's something, even if you go back and look, a lot of your most penalized teams, they're not necessarily bad teams.
No.
They're teams that are intentionally, they're intentionally getting penalties because it gives them a scheme advantage. You're running, when you're running pick routes, and there's a lot of stuff there. But if you go back and look at most penalized teams, a lot of them are playoff teams.
If you look back, and I know I've said this till I was blue in the face, and I said it on an episode last week, but I never really said it on this broadcast. A lot of teams. You want to talk about when Bill Walsh took over in San Francisco? He went 5-22 to start his career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chuck Noll in the 70s. He had like 5 guys that made the team from the 69 team to the 74 first Super Bowl team. Dick Vermeil, he took over in 1997. He had like 7 guys that made it to the 99 squad. So if you believe that kind of pattern where you have to get your guys into your system and you have to accept that there's going to be some losses, these Sundays won't be so bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because but you have to see some improvement going along the line. How will next year's draft go? How will the year draft after that go? I mean, if they go and they sign some top-notch, free agents in offense this year, and then they make a great draft, then it's starting to move toward the right direction.
Right.
And then if they win 8 games next year, well, half the time we'll be mad, half the time we'll be happy.
Yeah.
But then they start building guys, and you maybe start hearing some free agents during this offseason say, hey, I want to go to Buffalo. I want to play there. And they start generating 10 wins in 2 years, and they're a playoff team. I mean, that's what we hope down the line.
Yeah.
But to try to put some of the Buffalo Bills fans at ease, I think that's what we need to do. You got to just temper your expectations with this squad. Right?
I think there is a fair point to tempering expectations. We all know how McDermott is as far as how strong he is as a defensive coordinator. Miguel DeVal chimes in there and says McDermott suits more better as a defensive coordinator. Absolutely true.
Some guys are
John
like
Marilla mentions that Marv Levy's first 2 years were not great. Absolutely true. Bills fan 7883 says he needs his Wade Phillips on offense. Everyday Flash, first comment, thank you very much for joining us. Pathetic. Today really was, man. I mean, you got to be able to score points to win.
Man, it's the only shirt that was clean, dude. Oh, the game.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No,
you talking about me?
You got to be able to score points, especially against a team that's only won one game, man. One. But you're going in with a quarterback who had, last took a snap under this offensive coordinator in 2009 on the Browns. Like, again, what exactly were you anticipating?
Hey guys, so if you woke me up this morning and said we were going to hold Andrew Luck to 156 yards passing, I would have been like, great, we're going to win, right?
Yeah. No. And it gets 7 of 13 on third downs. The defense held them to, and the defense up until garbage time, the defense was on the field a lot. 5 turnovers will do that. Yeah, that's 5 turnovers will do that. I want to highlight the draft because a lot of people are talking about, well, let's move guys for draft picks. Let's move KB for a draft pick. The issue with drafting players at the wide receiver position, at the tackle position, right, is the length of development before they're consistent, right? So I'll give an example in Cincinnati, Tyler Boyd. Loved when Cincinnati drafted Tyler Boyd. His rookie season was forgettable at best, right? And now he is a very consistent number 2 target, but it took him a whole year to mature. Look at your rookie players at the wide receiver position. How many of them actually are making an impact? Well, you see Calvin Ridley flash, but again, that's a game plan, right? They force him the ball in Atlanta. That's all game plan. And then you look at other receivers. It takes a while for that position to mature with all the responsibilities that are out there. So if you're thinking, oh well, the Bills should go draft 3 wide receivers. We'll keep whichever one works. Sure, that's a theory behind it, but when you're bringing in young talent at receiver, that position specifically takes time to mature. Yeah. That's why going after guys who are already in the NFL, who already have that experience, makes a little bit more sense for the long view game here on offense. But you need to have an offensive coordinator that just has a clue. And Dable just really seems totally lost. And I understand the quarterbacks that he's had to work with have not been great, but I mean, you still have to hold somebody accountable at this point, man. You just got to be able to hold somebody accountable, and his head is on the chopping block for the way this offense is played, and I just don't know how else you can say that.
I told you, man. I listened to Double Nickel Zero all week because you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Double Nickel Zero.
Yeah.
So I listened to them all week, and all I heard was Allen, all I heard was Anderson, all I heard was Peterman, all I heard was Allen, Anderson, and Peterman, all that stuff. Nobody mentioned Dable. Mm-hmm. When is he going to start shouldering some responsibility for what's been going on? He's got to. He's got to. You have to now look at it. 3 quarterbacks who have produced nothing and have been inept. I don't care. The fact that he was only on the team for 10 days just tells you.
Right.
He can't even have the most basic things for the guy to do. You know what I mean?
Brian Dable has been an offensive coordinator for 5 teams at this point, including Alabama, right? Only once has he ever spent more than a season.
He's the Ryan Fitzpatrick of coordinators.
I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick looks good every once in a while.
He's
So that's not a good
smart as
comparison.
Fitzpatrick.
Not a good comparison. Fitzpatrick flashes every once in a while. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy.
Looks like the guy that pumped my gas last week. Dable, what can I get you? Fill it up. All right.
You look at him, you're like, yeah, you were in New England for a while, weren't you, buddy? it just makes sense.
That dude was just eating chowder.
Yeah, it's wide receiver development. Again, I know we just kind of highlighted it. There's things that wide receivers have to do on an NFL level that they don't have to do at a college level. Maybe we should talk about that this week. If there's anything that you guys want to hear as far as content for this week, hit us up in the live chat section, comment on one of the videos. We're going to go record the rest of this week's content. We're going to go take a drive and get the rest of that done. So if there's any conversations that you guys want to hear, let us know. We'll be happy to do as many viewer submissions as you guys want. So if there's anything you want to know, let us know. If we can get to it, we absolutely will. We read every comment, and we hope that you guys enjoy the interactive nature that we have here. So thank you for everybody tuning in. I know that we're going to talk about holding Brian Dable accountable. I know that, or the offensive line time frame.
You might have to drive for that.
Oh man, I don't know. You're Italian, man. You talk with your hands. I don't know if I'll survive.
I never touched the wheel.
No.
But like Paul had stated, once again, we can't stress enough. You guys, thank you. I mean, all the comments, all the feedback. We hope that we were able to either set your mind at ease with the Bills offense and the Bills as a whole, as far as the tank and everything goes, breaking down some statistics of Anderson and Dable. Whereas, okay, you can't just magically expect them to be good, but you have to question why they're here. You know what I mean? So. Once again, just we can't thank you guys enough for taking time out to just listen to us to just yabber on about the Buffalo guys.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's actually a great time, and we go film now.
Yeah. So So again, just to recap the episodes for this week that we're planning on doing. Not everything goes to plan, but we're planning on doing. We're going to talk about offensive line time frames, like how did we get here? Quarterback time frames, how did we get here? We'll kind of take the conversations from there. So anything you need, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy your week. Thanks for tuning in, and we really appreciate everything you guys do for us. So thank you for tuning in and spending your time with us, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a good one, guys.